Hi, I'm Morgan Hines in the PhocusWire studio with Lisa Chen from ToursByLocals. Welcome, Lisa. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. It's really great to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun week. So let's dive right in.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about current industry trends.
Yeah.
How are those informing ToursByLocals strategy?
Oh, yeah. So first of all, thank you. It's great to be here. It is a fantastic time to be in the experiences space. And in fact, it's like the hot space to be in for travel overall. So it's a really great space to be in. And then specifically tours.
Yeah.
So I think it was a Phocuswright joint study that basically said that tours, and specifically private tours, are outpacing growth within the experiences space. So we're in the best of the best space. In terms of trends that we see, there's 4 key trends. One is travelers more and more are looking for authentic experiences, so authenticity.
Yeah.
They're looking for customizable experiences.
Okay.
They're looking for convenience, and convenience has a couple of different sides to it that I'll explain in a second. And then lastly, they're looking for connection and cultural immersion. So a lot of C's and 1A.
Okay, so...
And we call that collectively the tour or the traveler equation.
Okay, very cool. That's the first time that I'd heard that, so that's really interesting. So how do you ensure that your tours are encompassing all your different offerings?
Yeah, so first of all, we are really in the bullseye of this. So we offer always private and then highly customizable private tours.
Okay.
And so what that means is that when travelers come to our site, they choose the tour guide that they want. They're looking for, they choose the exact itinerary that they want, but then they can actually customize that tour.
Got it.
So for example, let's say a traveler wants to go to Paris, but has seen some of the major sites before and wants to go off the beaten path.
Okay.
They will choose a tour guide or an itinerary, and then they'll work with the tour guide to customize that itinerary and make it, something that's perfect for them and with the people that they have. So for example, if they have multi-generations where they have considerations with young kids, older adults, they can customize that tour for those specific use cases.
That's great. That's actually what I was going to ask you next. So when we think about generations, can you hone in a little bit more on Gen Z? I know there's a lot of discussion about how to cater to Gen Z. What are you doing to kind of tailor your offerings to that younger generation that's now coming up?
Yeah, the good news is we don't have to tailor because we have the platform that already has what they're looking for. In fact, we recently did a survey, and one of the things that we found with Gen Z is they're looking for highly personalized, culturally immersive experiences. In fact, it's not just them, it's everyone. Skift yesterday just came out with a fun stat that said over 80% of travelers are looking for culturally immersive experiences. And in fact, travelers are deciding where to go based on what they want to do, which is a real change from maybe the past 10 years or from some of the revenge travel that we saw during the height or just after the height of the pandemic. So going back to Gen Z, they're looking for personalized, immersive experiences. We already offer that.
Right.
So one of the things that's fun is that we're seeing them come to our site and we're tapping into them. One interesting thing about Gen Z, and this to me was really interesting, 40% of them use travel advisors.
Oh, interesting.
And so this is the generation that has never seen life without the internet.
Right.
And yet they're looking for humans to help them figure out and customize the perfect experience and vacation for them. And the cool thing about that is for the past 15 years, we have used and worked with and had nurtured relationships with travel advisors. And so what's really fun is we've seen a large number of our Gen Z travelers come in through this really important channel, travel advisors.
That's so interesting. And it seems like a market shift from, social media engagement and things like that. Is that something that you're noticing as well?
Yes, and I think that speaks to one of our core visions, purposes is to keep travel human. And so I think if you've grown up only knowing technology, craving that human connection becomes even more important. And that's what we've done for the past 15 years.
Awesome. So it feels like you've touched a little bit on this already based on what you've said, but I'd love if you could expand a little bit more on how you help your company to stand out in what seems like an ever-expanding, very populated experiences sector.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is that we've been around for 15 years.
Mm.
So for 15 years, we have been a top-rated marketplace for private tours. For 15 years, we have nurtured relationships with our travelers. In fact, we have an NPS with travelers of over 80%. We have an NPS with travel advisors of over 70%. Wow. We have a Trustpilot score of over 4.8. So we already are a top-rated platform.
Right.
We are a marketplace. So one of the things, going back to those 4 trends that I mentioned earlier, one of the things is that our tour guides are locals. They know their city the best. They are not a college-age kid from a big tour agency. And there's an age and a stage for that kind of experience. But these are the guides that know their community the best. And because we're a marketplace, we're not a travel agency, they set their prices.
Right.
So what happens is that the money that our travelers spend go back to the local communities. And oftentimes our tour guides are taking travelers to local off the beaten path restaurants. It's sort of like if I ask you, you live in Manhattan, I think, right?
Yes.
If I ask you, hey, I don't want to go where the tourists go. Tell me where the locals go. Tell me like what is a good restaurant or a good neighborhood where the locals hang out, not the tourists.
Yeah.
And that's what these tour guides are able to provide. So for 15 years, we've done that. So we've already established ourselves as being the top-rated platform for this experience. Now, the goal is to continue that. And in fact, we're in a hyper growth phase. So the goal is to bring new people into the category and to keep our travelers. So for example, 50% of our travelers come back to us. We have a repeat business of over 50%. And so we want to continue that and even increase it.
So when you talk about expansion, is that in terms of the number of offerings or kind of the global reach or the locations of your tours? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, it's about bringing more people into the category and then growing market share within the category. So it's being able to continue to delight travelers throughout their journey, both from the planning to the booking to the tour delivery. And it's going after so repeat, and then also going after new customers. Now we are English only, so we're reaching into those English audiences much more in depth. Yeah.
So as you think about expansion and other elements, obviously 15 years is a pretty significant amount of time to have a business like this. And there's been a lot of technological change during that time. So I'm curious to think about how you're looking about the future. Is the technology range that's so important to you right now, and what's going to kind of take you to the next
level? Yeah. So first, we launched a new website this past year. And so that new website we completely overhauled our tech platform, so modernized our tech platform. We changed our UI, we rebranded. So we have a now really strong active runway from which we can launch our growth phase. And so really that was the first step. So the next step is then adding on layers to our now active runway. And we're doing that through, and obviously it's great timing from an AI perspective. Like we couldn't have launched our new platform, our new website at a better time, because we're able to leapfrog over other companies who are established in these enterprise systems in a way that makes us much more nimble. So we're doing that in a few things. One, we like to say that we're taking out the admin. So, using AI to take out the admin so we can focus on the magic of empowering human connections. And so a big part of it is AI for productivity, right? So we use a number of things, ChatGPT, Gamma and others. And these tools may swap out, right? Because it's all just a fun playing field right now. But the focus is on making us more productive so that we can take off the highly repeatable kind of boring admin tasks and focus on actually doing things and working directly with travelers and guides and our other channel partners. The second thing that we're focused on is elevating the quality. So for us, we are a marketplace, so we've got to get travelers the right match, and we want to do that as seamlessly as possible. And frankly, we want to delight them during that process. So what can we do to accelerate and make that, coming to the site, finding the tour guide, finding the right tour, communicating with a guide, as seamless and fun as possible. And so a big part of the tech that we're using, again, some of it is AI related, is elevating the quality. So one, making sure that guides who have really great tours are marketing those tours in the right way, and then educating guides that maybe need a little bit of help so that they can get even more bookings.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So as you think about expansion and the implementation of AI, you mentioned that your company is English only. Do you ever see that changing, maybe
Yes.
with AI?
Yeah, I think that's another great use case that we'll start to see. So I've talked about sort of AI more in the background, but yes, we will be using AI tooling in our product as well going forward now that we're on this active runway.
That's really exciting. So we've talked a lot about a plan, but what are your kind of hopes and dreams for Tours by Locals?
It's funny.
It's a broad question.
It is. I think of the beauty pageants, right? What are your hopes and dreams? My goal is, we are here to keep travel human. We want to connect the world in more meaningful ways through local experiences. So I want to bring everybody into the private tour space. One of the things that we hear most often with people that trial a private tour is they're like, I can never go back. Like, this was such a fantastic experience. My guide was so amazing. They showed me places that I never would have found on my own and had really interesting stories to tell through the lens of a local viewpoint that made it the highlight of my trip. I want everyone to experience that joy. So I want to bring more people into the category. And then obviously I want to bring more people to Tours by Locals. And I want to, one of the things that I love about our platform is that because guides are solopreneurs, or sometimes we call them tourpreneurs, they set their own prices. They have their own business, and so these are people that are able to live and have a life that they couldn't have without a platform like Tours by Locals. And the money that goes back to them goes back to the local communities. It doesn't go to some big, corporate tour operator. So for me, I want to have every guide on our platform and fill their calendars. So that's, and one of the things that has been interesting over the last couple of years is, we have over 5,000 tour guides on our site. We serve over 175 countries, and I've seen that country count come down. So one of the things I'd love is to get that country count back up, which means resolution in some of the areas where there's geopolitical conflict. So basically, going back to the beauty pageant, I want sort of prosperity and world peace because it benefits us all, including the company.
That's a very good goal. But I guess related to maybe your larger question, what about the industry? Obviously, Tours by Local is part of a much wider atmosphere in the travel world. Is there anything that you really hope to see accomplished in the industry on the whole?
Yeah, so I think one is just bringing more people into the category. The experiences place. We are capturing the tailwinds of traveler desire and demand right now. And so I think one is continuing to do that, but doing it in a sustainable way that helps local communities. One of the things that we've been battling in the travel industry is over-served destinations, right? So, and there are cities that are fighting back against that. And one of the great things about private tours is the footprint is a lot smaller. So you're taking cars, not buses. It's just you and the tour guide. And they're able to guide you sort of away from the big tourist trappy areas and to the local communities. And again, the money, sort of stays in those local communities. There's a trend now, and it has multiple names, but we call it destination dupes. So instead of Barcelona, you go outside of Barcelona or what have you. So I think we certainly are in the bullseye of that. Like, our platform sort of just natively enables that. And I would love to see the same happen for the wider experiences industry.
So that's a really interesting point. Obviously, over-tourism has been a point of discussion for a lot of different companies. How much onus do you think is on the provider to change their offerings as a result of the over-tourism issue as we seek to address it versus, we hear a lot about traveler choice and deciding to make it a sustainable decision or to go to somewhere that's less traveled. How much responsibility actually falls on the provider to create those opportunities for the traveler?
That is an interesting question. I think it needs to be both. So one is, I think, as travelers, So I think as travelers, as tourists become travelers, they're going to make the choice with their wallet, and then ideally, you would see the providers go along with that, right? So obviously, but I think that we have been very purposeful in not expanding into big tour groups, big buses. And so I do think there is a responsibility that people have to read what's going on in the market and to do what's best for that particular market. So it's one where I think there is responsibility on the provider, but what I'd like to see is that travelers vote with their dollars, which forces the providers, if they're not willing to make it. We've made a values-based choice in how we run our business, and we stand by our values. So
got it. And then I guess I'd love to know if there was one issue in the tours and activities sector that you could solve with the snap of your fingers, what would it be?
Geopolitical instability.
Okay. It's a good answer. Well,
there's a lot of great people in countries that are amazing tour guides that are not able to work right now. I would love to be able to see them get bookings again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good problem to wish to solve for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And enjoy the conference.
I will. Thank you so much.